My great-grandmother's name was Alida Jones. We all called her Gram. She was born in 1905, passed away in 1992. I was privileged that I had a chance to know her as a child. Now, Gram had 7 kids. One of her kids died as an infant. 21 grandchildren and innumerable great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren and so on. But you know what was one of the best things about her? She was a woman who just quietly, faithfully lived out her faith day to day. Faithfulness to her church, faithfulness to her Lord, a shining testimony even through adversity. I look back on my family tree and I'm thankful for people like my Gram who passed on their faith to my grandmother and then to my mother and then to me, and hopefully my generation gets to pass it on to the next generation. That's how legacies work. This video is an interview that her granddaughter, Janet, did with Gram back in 1989. She's telling her story, her life story, telling some things, and just wanted to share it with you. If you want to take a listen, here is the video called With Love from Gram.
When you were small and you had so many dolls?
Yeah, I had a lot of dolls, but to me right now, the dolls aren't important.
Well, how many, did you have shelves in your room that you kept them on, or?
No, they just were all over the place.
What were their names?
I had one big doll. Her name was Sally, after my grandmother, whose name was Sarah. So we always called her Sally.
Your grandmother?
No, the doll.
Oh.
But the first thing I ever remember is me lying in the big bed in my mother's front room. And I was just coming to, really, from having spinal meningitis. And that the first thing I remember is lying in the bed, and I could look out, see the front window, but I could hear somebody chopping ice. Come to find out, it was my father doing a job that he did every day that I was in bed sick, chopping ice to put all around me to keep me frozen.
Oh my goodness.
And I learned later, the neighbors said to me, we always got the shivers when we heard your dad chopping ice to put around you. And that, and one other thing is uppermost in my mind when I was first remembering things, was the little chair that I used to sit on when I went to Sunday school. And I remember my Sunday school teacher. She was a big, stout woman, and she was the loveliest person I think I ever knew. Perhaps I adored her because she was my teacher, my first teacher, and I was only 4 years old then. That's when I had the spinal meningitis. So, you want to see my chair?
Yeah.
See the little chair that
Wait a minute.
mine, I'll pick it up here, just in front of me. This is the little chair. Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
This is the little chair I sat on when I was in Sunday school.
And did your Sunday school teacher give it to you?
Now, when they changed the church to a different place, then most of the little chairs like this we were allowed to take. So I have 2 of them really. I don't know where the other one is, but I think it's sitting around here with some little dolls in right now.
Some of your dolls from when you were little?
No, they're dolls that Sarah played with. Plays with now. But that's my very first remembrance of anything special in my long life. That I could always recall very easily, because that was being lying in the bed in the front room of all places and hearing the ice being chopped, and then thinking about my Sunday school teacher.
How long were you sick?
I don't remember, but I had ice all around me to keep me. I don't know why. It was just a fact of life to me. I don't know why it was, but it was some medical reason, I suppose. I remember that when I first began to come out of the illness, the meningitis, my head was way back. My head was tipped way, way back, almost in like a circle, backwards. So that's my first recollections, first real recollections. Now, I don't know whether there was anything else you wanted to know about that time of life.
Well, you have to think back and think if you can think of anything else.
Well,
Tell us.
I say those are my two greatest memories from way, way back when I first started remembering.
Do you still do you remember the name of the Sunday school teacher?
I did remember it. Now I can't quite think of it.
You'll think of it later while we're talking.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about names, tell me about changing your name.
Oh, that was a long time after that. It was not that I didn't like my mother's name, Harriet, which was the name that she was giving to me, but it had never been put down in the archives down at the town hall that my name was supposed to be Alida Harriet. I liked Harriet well enough, but I liked another name much better, and that was Violet. That was part of the name of one of my cousins, who I was very, very fond of. And so I changed my name to Alida Violet.
Just went down and did it all on your own.
I was big enough to do that then.
How old were you?
I don't know, I was in the teens.
What'd your parents say?
Oh, they didn't say too much. I think I probably talked about it a lot beforehand, so they kind of had the notion that I'd probably do that.
What'd you like to do when you were little?
Well, I liked to go down to my grandmother and grandfather's down in Brooklyn.
And do what?
Well, most of the time I'd go out on the water because that's where my grandfather lived most of the time.
In a boat?
On a barge first.
What did you do on a barge?
Well, he was a watchman for the rich men's oyster beds and so forth.
Make sure nobody
See that
stole
nobody
their stuff.
came along and took any of the stuff that was marked out for somebody else. So we had fun out there. My grandmother lots of the time would be out there with him
On the barge?
on board the barge. And then we moved to a different place called Ruffle Bar, and that had a real house on it. Well, there was a house on the barge. There was rooms and place to cook and to fix. And on Ruffle Bar, we used to go up. She used to cook all kinds of the seafood for us while we were out there. It was always good. I used to like her oyster stew and all the different things that she cooked. And then she'd cook a whole big pot of crabs, and she'd give us we kids were fond of them, and she would give us a big dishpan full to take out on the edges of the barge, and we'd sit there and just eat crab and throw the shells and the waste overboard. No.
Who's we kids?
Well, mostly a lot of the kids, my Aunt Lily's kids, she had a dozen children, and that was
Literally?
Mhm.
Literally a dozen children?
Yeah. They weren't, some of them had died in the meantime. But what was I saying?
That you would sit on the edge of the barge and
Oh.
crack the clams.
Well,
Crabs.
that's all we did. We would do my grandmother. And lots of times then we'd go out when the tide had gone out and we'd pick up soft crabs. And those were a favorite with me. My grandmother would clean them up, get them ready to fry. She'd fry 2 or 3 of them, put it in between 2 slices of bread and make a nice sandwich with 1 crab in each sandwich. And we'd go out chewing on that. And we never any lack of the seafood that we loved. So, I don't know what else I can say about the...
Did Uncle Harry go with you?
Well, he wasn't too much on that. He once in a while he'd come out if my mother and father were also along, but he wasn't up to that so much as I was. He was more calm, and I was more past boy, I guess.
Tell me a little bit about school.
School. It was just school. It wasn't thrilling. I don't really want to say much about school.
And what was your favorite part?
Hmm?
What was your favorite part about school?
Recess.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because we were out to play tag or some kind of games in the yard. I wasn't too fond of studying.
From the very beginning?
Well, no, I liked it when I was in kindergarten.
What did you do at recess besides play tag?
Hopscotch or any other games.
Did you have roller skates?
Oh, I used to roller skate when I was, not at school, but all over the neighborhood. I lived on the roller skates all day. And then at night I'd think I was still on the skates. That would feel like it. And there used to be a monkey came around, a man with a monkey. And I'd follow him all over town if I could. My mother said she could always find me if she knew there was a monkey man around.
Was he driving around rolling around looking for money?
Huh?
Was he rolling around looking for money?
No, he was just walking with the monkey on a little box-like thing.
And were people supposed to throw nickels to him or something?
Oh, and they'd probably put a little money in his box, but I never had the money with me when I was a little kid. So, but he got used to having me hanging around him, I guess.
He didn't mind?
Apparently not. He just ground up his box of music, and he was fine.
What about your friends when you were growing up?
Well, I had one of my friends is down in Florida now. She just recently, about a year or 2 ago, decided to move down there. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how many people can get down to Florida without it sinking.
What was her name?
Mary. And we were friends when we were kids. I used to have a place to play up in our attic. It was a great big attic, and I had a place there where I could keep all my dolls and all my teddy bears and all my pet monkeys and everything. And we used to play up there, and especially if it was a rainy day. Generally, if the weather was clear, we were outdoors. I'd rather be outdoors than staying in a house.
Even today? I mean, even now?
Well, I like to be outside, but not. I can't do as much of being outside as I'd like. I'm getting a little bit too old for rushing in and out. I can't think of anything right now.
What about church when you were growing up? What church did you go to?
Bible Methodist Protestant Church down on the east side of Stanford.
What was it like back then?
Well, my father was the Sunday school superintendent for as far back as I could remember. And then he used to go up early Sunday morning to stoke the fires in the winter. And then he'd ring the bell to tell the people it was time for church. We always could hear him pulling that bell, and then the last thing he'd do would be to toll it. Just get one or two pulls on the rope and just this is the thing my father used in Sunday school to call the classes to attention. So that was a will to me at a party late in life. I think it was after I had played the organ for 60 years, they decided that I could have the bell that my dad used to ring.
The Sunday school gave it to you?
Yeah, they gave it to me at the 60th party for my 60 years of playing the organ.
How old were you when you started playing the organ?
14.
And you played for 60 years?
Oh no, that was the 60th anniversary. But I played almost, not quite 67 entire years, but 66 plus about a third of a year.
Wow.
So I was in my 67th year of playing.
You must have
When I
been
finally, my fingers kind of gave out. I couldn't play it. Didn't have as much jurisdiction over what my fingers would do. So I had to quit. So I sent in my announcement saying that I was retiring from it. So then they gave me a nice lamp to honor me.
when you quit playing the organ.
Yeah,
But they gave you the bell at an anniversary.
that was at the 60th year. When I was finishing 60 years of playing.
How'd you get started playing the organ at 14? Were you the only one willing to?
No, my father was doing the playing, and he was needed to sing. In fact, I used to sing duets with him. He sang tenor and I sang alto.
I didn't know you used to sing.
He and I used to sing duets quite often.
Did you play for your
Then
Selves when
we'd
you
have
sing?
somebody else to come up and play.
What songs did you sing?
Oh my, now you're asking me something that
Can't remember.
I could remember if I had the book in front of me and told you, but I just can't remember offhand.
Did your mother sing?
She could sing, but she didn't. She sat way back in the church. And lots of times people thought she was a widow, because she never could. My father never was with her. He was always up in the choir.
Who was the minister back when you were growing up?
There were a number of them. I can't remember them all, but Mr. Richter was one of them. And there were a good many. I just can't think of names right now. I should have had them all written down if I don't know anybody wanted to know their names.
Tell us how you were saved.
I was saved by some of my good Sunday school teachers, and I was just brought up to love the Lord. And it's just, I can't specify any particular moment. Seems like I just, like Topsy, grew up that way to love the Lord. But I know that I'm saved. Even though I can't remember any particular moment. I don't know, people say that they're saved such and such a time and such a place and all. I can't understand that. Because I knew I was saved. I never had any date or daytime or hour or anything of that sort.
Do you have a favorite verse, Graham? Do you have a favorite verse?
Yeah, but you should have asked me that before.
I just thought of it.
No, I can't bring my mind.
When you think of it, tell me. Okay.
Well, there's so many verses that I can't say that any of them is my favorite verse, because there's so many of them in the Bible that can be favorites. But I think the Bible as a whole is my favorite. That's the best I can say about that. Of course, I used to memorize all the verses when I was a kid.
For contests, or because you just were motivated to do it?
We'd get a little card, and then after we got so many little tiny picture cards, and then when we'd get about 10 or so, then we'd get a big card, which meant something more, that we had learned so many verses, rather. And that would go on. So I got a whole flock of them in a book.
How old were you when you started teaching Sunday school?
When I started teaching, I was... You ask me things and I can't remember when I first started.
Well, I just thought of it. What was your favorite thing about teaching Sunday school?
Huh?
What was your favorite thing about teaching Sunday school?
Well, I had one time I had a very big class of girls. There were so many of them that I had to have it split, and another person take half of it. But I kind of always been sorry that I split it.
Why?
Because I wasn't satisfied with the way they were living at the time.
With the way they were divided? Or with the job that was being done with the other half?
No, I was wishing that I kept them all under my own tutelage, but it was almost impossible because there were so many of them that I couldn't, my voice couldn't reach the whole group at any one time, so some of them would be cutting up at one end, and so that's why I thought that they had to be changed. But I always felt badly that I had to give them up.
Anything else about church you want to tell us?
I can't think right now.
How about Uncle Harry? Can you tell us anything about Uncle Harry?
Well, I've already spoken about Uncle Harry, but
Was he older or younger than you?
he was 4 years older than I. And I played for his wedding, for their wedding.
That must have been an honor.
Huh?
That must have been an honor.
I don't know. I didn't think so. I should have been just a guest at my brother's wedding. But they wanted me to play for them, so I did.
How did you meet Grandpa?
Well, it was through his sister. She was in my Sunday school class at the time. And it was called the class in the corner because we sat in a circle in one corner of the Sunday school hall. And one night, one time, Auntie Flo, as she's called, after a while, she wanted to have, they were moving, so she wanted to have a party after they got moved and settled. They didn't move too far away, just down in the Sound Beach area. And during the evening, she had all us girls to the party. But then her brother came in, and his cousin Arthur. They came in, and so Florence said, "Well, why don't you guys get washed up and come on, join the party? We got plenty of food." So they did just that. They'd been working on a little car that they built themselves, and they were getting ready to take a trip in it. So they came, and we were playing a few games, and I forget the name of the game. But we had to, each one had to do something that they were supposed to do in order to be at the party, really. So what we had to do was to imitate, who is it that has that? Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
We were out on a side porch, and my future husband was down on the ground below the porch, and I was supposed to, in this thing, I was supposed to leap over to meet him on the ground. So I did. And he says, "How would you like to go for a ride in the buggy we just finished?" So I was game for anything like that, so we went for a little ride. And then his sister was kind of put out because we'd gone a little bit longer than she thought we should have been gone. But that was the first time I met him.
Was he singing to you from below the balcony?
Yeah, they're singing, or I forget now just how it went. And he was supposed to be courting me, like Romeo and Juliet. I guess that's what you call it.
Hmm. So then you started dating after that?
Well, at first they went on this trip that I was telling you about, in this little car that they built. And while he was gone, he sent me a postcard. And the postcard was a picture of a frog or something like that. Yeah, a rock or something that was in the shape of a frog. I suppose it was an important thing wherever they were. And anyway, when he came back and I lit into him and I says, that's a funny kind of a card to send me. Picture of a frog. So then the next thing I knew, he brought me a box of candy.
And how long after that were you married?
Oh, goodness, quite a while.
How old were you when you got married?
19.
And how many years were you married before Grandpa died?
Well, he was 53 when he died. So, I guess he must have been, just old enough to get married. 21.
So about 30 years?
Huh?
32 years?
Yeah, a little more than we had been married. I remember our 25th anniversary. And I forget how many years. Oh, I don't know.
How did he die?
A heart attack, I think. He died. He went out to fix somebody's car. He had a call to fix not fix the car, but fix a tire. Yeah, right up here near the lunchroom up here.
That restaurant that keeps changing names?
Yeah. And I had just gotten home from the Sunday school picnic. And so I was in the bathtub or something, I forget. I had to wash some of the sand and the day's picnic off of me. And I heard the ambulance or something going by. Well, there was a police car, or I guess it was the ambulance. And the phone was ringing, but nobody was there to answer it, I guess. No, after a while, Richard got to the phone, I guess. And he said that we had to go up to the hospital because Daddy was taken up to the hospital. But he was dead on arrival, I think. I know he was dead by the time we got up there.
It must have been a shock.
Yeah.
Did you know he had a bad heart?
Well, he'd been quite sick. I nursed him through a couple of real serious things. But it's something a lot of people have to go through.
How many kids did you guys have? And how many did you want?
I had 7, but I wanted a dozen.
Like your aunt?
Yep.
Which aunt was that?
That was Lois's grandmother.
So Lois's mother's your cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you went out on the boat, one of the cousins you were on the boat with was Lois's mother?
No, it was Lois's sister, Ruth.
No, I mean Aunt Lois's mother.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
but she was the younger kid. Ruth and I would try to get away from her. She was the youngest of the family, of my aunt's family. But
So you and Grandpa wanted 12 or you wanted 12?
well, he was willing.
And you had 7?
Yeah. Well, the first one, as you know, the first were my twins, Richard and Juanita.
And did you know you were going to have twins?
Yeah, the day before they arrived.
Did you make a quick trip to the department store?
No, I didn't. I was too sick. Took me 2 days before they arrived.
Did you have him at home?
No, I was home, but then circumstances changed and I had to be rushed to the hospital.
Did you have any of your kids at home?
Yeah,
Which one?
Lucy and Betty, the little girl that died. She was about 14 months when she died. Nothing to do with the being born. She was fine, but the kids had all had real bad colds, and so she caught something. I don't know what it was. The doctor named it, and I can't remember to save my soul what he called it. And it was a very snowy, the snow was about 3 foot deep, I think, that night that she died. When God wants people to come to them, He takes them no matter what the weather is or isn't.
So how long was she sick before she died?
She had just caught the cold or whatever it was. I can't remember. I should have written it down too. I think I've got it written down somewhere, but so long ago now that I forgot.
What kind of jobs did Grandpa do?
He was a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Fixed everybody's cars.
He had a good business going?
Well, it was good business, but he never charged the prices that he should have. So he never was made rich at it because he was too easy going. He'd let people have things for half price that he could have gotten for the things that he did.
Because he wanted to be nice or because they were his friends?
No, because he didn't like to overcharge people, and he wasn't what you call the best of businessmen as far as figures go. But he sure had plenty of business, because there's an awful lot of people that came to him, and since he's gone, people have told me how much they liked him and how much he did always when they brought their cars in. No wonder the small prices that he charged them.
Did he have a secretary?
Me. I did all his bookkeeping.
Did you enjoy that?
Well, not at the time. It was just too much taking care of the household and the kids, and then answering the phone. And he had a phone too out in the garage, but lots of times he'd be under a car, or some of the men would be under cars or something. So I'd have to grab the phone too.
Did he do other kind of work besides working on the cars?
No. Yeah, years before. He was running a shovel. Operating a shovel, I should say. For Mr. Sensorbo.
Is that?
He worked at that. He made pretty good money with doing that, though. But he never was one that asked for more. He just although he did pretty good there that way. But I said, I got sick and tired of the unions that he had to belong to. I said, why don't you go in business for yourself and get away from the unions? So that's what he did. I don't know whether I did the right thing, but I couldn't see the unions. They were rotten.
Well, when he was operating the steam shovel, is that when you lived up at Candlewood?
Yeah, he was working for Sensibo then. Yeah, and we'd go up there and we put up 2 tents, one for cooking, and one of his helpers would sleep there, a young lad. Not too young, he was a man, but he wasn't an older person. And he would sleep on a cot in the cook tent. And then Juanita and Lucy slept in the car, and we had a tarp went from our tent over to the roof of the car. So if they had to get into the house or wanted to come in at night or anything like that, they could get in without getting soaking wet if it was raining. And we'd hear, lots of nights we'd hear going past our tent. Oh, we slept in a double cot. And Geraldine was an infant. She had a baby bed right in the middle between the pole of the tent. And then Richard slept on the other side of the cot. So we'd hear some nights we'd hear the deer go crashing through the brush alongside the tent. And it was real nice. We got along real nice. And I had one of those fold up things that the babies use. What do you call it?
Porter crib?
No. To play in.
Oh, playpen.
Playpen, yeah. And Geraldine played in that most of the day. And then when it came middle of the afternoon, when it would be pretty hot, Richard and Juanita would take a bucket we had each and take buckets of cold water down through the woods where their daddy had been building roads alongside of Lake Candlewood. And while we were living at Candlewood, we found a blackberry patch. And boy, did I put it up. When we went home one weekend, we picked up a bunch of quart regular canning bottles. I took them back, and while we were there, I did 40 quarts of blackberries. The blackberries were half as long as your finger.
Wow.
That we found up there, and they, with all of us picking. It didn't take us long to get enough to. I'd make upside down cake. We'd go down to the nearest farmhouse and we'd get some cream, and we'd have upside down cake with real heavy cream on it. But 40 quarts of it I did to take home. It lasted all for well into the winter for us.
How'd you keep your food cold?
Oh, we had the most gorgeous spring. After we got through up there, after Daddy got through with the road building, when we went back there one day just to visit the place again, they had the spring all tied over so nobody else could get at it. I guess they maybe had it piped into some of the big log cabins that were built in that area, where that's why Daddy had been doing the work up there, was so that they could be built it up. But one thing about that, we'd walk up the road a little ways from where we were, And the sight of uh, the, the flowering bushes was something to take your breath away. And a whole mountainside of laurel was just gorgeous. I suppose that's all gone now, all built up.
Let's see. How'd you get your monkey you used to have?
Well, your grandfather, oh, my husband, your grandfather, knew that I liked monkeys. So he saw this one advertised once in the paper, so he went and got it for me. And we called her Jennifer, like Jennifer Jones. And of course everybody called her Jenny. And Priscilla used to ride all over with her bicycle, Jenny. Sitting on that, she loved it.
How old do you think Priscilla was when you got her? Teenager?
Oh, I've forgotten now just what age she was. She was big enough to ride a bicycle and cart Jenny all over the place.
Did you keep her in the house?
Yeah, Carl built her a beautiful cage, so she'd stay in the cage in the house. And when the weather was good, we had her on a big line, like a clothesline, but it wasn't, it was made of wire. And she could go back and forth from the house to the apple tree and climb the apple tree. She was happy out there. But of course, wet weather, we keep her inside. But it was a nice big cage she had and all, very well equipped.
Did the neighbors mind you having a monkey?
Only when she got loose occasionally and walked in the house and scared them to death.
Did that happen very often?
Well, she got loose once in a while. Priscilla would go all over trying to find her. But she would come home eventually.
She knew how to get home
Apparently.
on her own. It's like a dog. Well, what about your trip to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, that was quite an event. Daddy came in one day and says, "How'd you like to go to Washington?" So we thought, well, that'd be kind of nice. So he and I, with 5 children, went to Washington.
Drove?
Drove. And while we were there, we decided to go up the Washington Monument. So we did. And it was quite interesting to look down and see all the cars and everything rushing around. Only thing is, when we got down to the ground again, Nancy began to cry. And she said, "Where's all those little cars? I wanted to play with them." She thought that they were tiny cars, because that's the way it looked like from the top of the monument. Oh, we had a lot of fun. And on the way home, we had, of course, spent about all the money that we had allotted for the trip. Just getting pretty low, so we stopped to have breakfast someplace after we got emptied out the motor lodge where we stayed. And we had told the kids that we couldn't order anything too heavy because the money was getting kind of low, so we had to go easy on what we ordered for breakfast. And then Juanita was looking through the menu and she says, "Oh, look, oatmeal, $1. Now, 10 cents a serving." $1. I don't know where I get that from. She says 10 cents a serving, and then she started counting around with her fingers. She says 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oh, that's good. That's good for our breakfast. We like oatmeal. So that's what we had.
Wasn't there some kind of story about a men's room in Washington?
Oh, that was down at the foot of the monument, I guess, or right near it. And I didn't have my eyes on Nancy at the time, so she had walked right in with her when her father went in to the men's room.
He didn't know it?
I guess he didn't know it until she maybe spoke to him or something, so he got out with her.
Oh, dear. Well, let's see.
No, I don't know. Seems like this must be run down. I don't remember too much. People always like to come out on the island when we were living out there. One year we went out and stayed for a couple of weeks on Bowles Island, just down near Coscop. Out in the water, but not, I'm just saying near Coscop. That's where we used to go out, park the car and go out to the boat.
The whole family?
And we lived out on the island for a couple of weeks. But the next year, Mr. Bowles wanted to know if we didn't want to stay on the island for the summer. So the year after the first episode of the 2 weeks, we stayed the whole summer out on the island.
You and the kids or Grandpa too?
Grandpa too, when he'd get through work, and Richard would go out with the boat and get him to meet him when it was time for him to get through work. So he had time to relax and rest and go swimming, most always when it was nice weather. Well, the weather was nice. People used to come out there to visit us, and they'd say, "Boy, you people don't know what you're having out here. It's so hot up ashore, and out here you always get a nice breeze." So it was very good. But I'll tell you, we ate up everything that Daddy had ever brought home. That's all we did was eat and have fun.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what did you do to entertain yourself? Or the kids?
There was something to do there all the time, and when it was low tide, the kids would get their rakes and dig clams. And then I'd fry big frying pans full of clams. They never wanted them for meals, but I'd fill up a platter full whenever they brought them in and got the clams, nice fresh clams. And I'd fry up a big platter full, and before you know it, the platter was empty. Every time they'd go by, they'd take a clam to eat. But they didn't want them for meals. No, we don't want clams for meals. But they'd eat them now if they got them for meals. And we used to have a lot of company out there. We'd invite friends out. One day we had Dr. Carpenter and Mrs. Carpenter come out for dinner. And the doctor we just a little box-like thing that we used to keep there for the kids to have fun with. And Dr. Carpenter sat in that thing the longest time and just paddled himself around. It was so good for him to just get away on his day off, away from the telephone, which I can imagine. But that was one nice thing about the company that we had out there. But we had lots of company. People that were always glad of an invitation to come out. And lots of people came out and brought their lunch with them, brought a big lunch out. And Mr. Bowles would come out every few days to visit us. And he would bring maybe he'd have a duck for dinner. And he'd eat a leg or something off for his lunch. Before he came out, he'd have his meal at home. And then he'd say, well, I just brought this rest of this duck out. I thought maybe you'd enjoy it. And a number of times, and then he always brought candy and stuff out for the kids. And we had girls, the friends of the girls that come out, stay for a few days. And we always had fun out there. The kids were always in their bathing suits.
So you didn't get tired of being with each other and start fighting?
No. No, there was always something to do, in high tide or low tide. And Richard used to do quite a lot with different boats out there, too. He was very good around the boats.
Is that where you learned how to make clam chowder?
Oh, no, I learned before that. My grandmother, at the beginning, my grandmother was the one who did it, and then my mother, she of course made clam chowder always. And I do too now, but it takes me 2 days by the time I get the clams open and cut up and put in the fridge. I generally put them in the freezer right away so that they were fresh clams when I made the chowder. But the next day, the first day I'd get the clams ready and peel the potatoes. And then when I got ready to make the chowder, well, no use me telling you how to make chowder.
I think everybody'd like to know.
Yeah, but I don't feel like going through it all now.
All right. Well, where'd you learn how to make potato candy and date nut pudding?
Grandma Jones was the first place I ever had date nut pudding. And I made it ever since. But I don't recall my mother ever making date nut pudding. She had plenty of other things she made to perfection, but that's where I first learned about the date nut pudding.
And was it always for Christmas?
Yeah. So I generally made it two big sheets of it, a couple of days, or a couple of weeks in advance. But it's nice no matter, even if you just make it fresh, it's always good. Some people rather have it fresh than dry and wait for 2 weeks to eat it, especially Janet.
When you were growing up, what was your favorite thing? What did you like about Christmas? What do you remember about Christmas?
Oh, when I was a little kid, we always had, well, I never saw the Christmas tree until Christmas Day. Never even knew we had a Christmas tree. It was all kept very hush-hush until the last minute. And we always had a nice big tree. And I'd get doll carriage or dolls. Most every Christmas I got a doll. I had so many dolls and so many stuffed animals, like teddy bear, and not quite as many as the stuffed animals they have nowadays, but there was always a lovely teddy bear, and I used to get a Japanese doll, and Japanese doll, what other dolls? I was thinking of different, the Japanese. Well, I had so many dolls, people used to, that's what one of Uncle Arthur's wife used to say. No wonder you have so many kids. You used to have the biggest lot of dolls of anybody when you were little. So you just kept on. When you got married, you had plenty of dolls, only live ones. And she never had any doll. She had a doll, but she never had the amount of dolls I did. And she used to be a little bit envious of all my dolls. And we played, when the weather was nice, we had a nice big lilac bush in our yard. And we used to play under the lilac bush. That was our house, with our doll carriages and so forth. Oh, I don't remember. There's probably not lots of things that I could think of, but I just can't think right now.
Well, just tell us about going to Germany.
Oh, I went right after Christmas. Oh, I can't think which it was, the 28th of December. I can't remember, it was 60, I guess it must have been 1960. And
Sherry's not 29, is she? Well, anyway, tell us about going.
well, you see, I went on the 28th of December. That was 1 year. And Cheryl didn't arrive until the 28th of January the next year. So that means I was there a whole month before she arrived. On the 28th of the 28th.
That give you a lot of time to sightsee, or were you at the house with Priscilla?
No, I was at the house, of course, with Priscilla at the time. We'd go walking or go around visiting some of the neighborhood churches to see what they looked like. We'd go in a few of them, but it was pretty cold weather for that kind of visiting. It was real nice. Bruce was in the Army, of course, and we'd go onto the post. She didn't live on the post, but she lived outside in the town where, and in the house where the people lived. She had a room, and then a couple of rooms on the third floor.
What was your favorite sightseeing thing there?
Well, we went sightseeing after the baby arrived. Richard came over he came over to Germany, and we went in the VW, the four of us, 5 counting the baby, and we went through Austria and Italy, and what else? I think we didn't get to France that time, but well, we went to Switzerland. That was the big thrill, but it was all snow. Snow was very, very deep, but we managed. And I remember the little crib that was supplied in one of the places we stayed in Switzerland. And there was a great big cover, one of these big heavy things, not heavy, but big and thick, to put over the baby in the cradle. Not a crib, it was a cradle. And the Swiss family, they just, well, we had a nice time there, even though it was deep snow. I love Switzerland.
Well, let's close close by talking about the family reunions.
Well, boy, you can tell about the same family reunions.
Well, tell us about the
We
first one.
That was 5 years, a little better than 5 years ago. We had a big family reunion. Most of you kids know about the family reunion.
Better talk louder.
You know about the family reunion, all of you.
Some of them are
Most
too
of
young to
you.
remember.
A few people couldn't make it to come that year. But we had the most of it over in our church, where we had the dinner all arranged. Our family furnished the dinner. The girls all made spaghetti sauce, and I did too. And we had the whole big table right smack around the room. Big tables, long tables, so that nobody was sitting off at any one particular table. We were all on this one big horseshoe-shaped table. And we invited the pastor and his wife and family to eat with us. And we had the big musical that night in the church. We invited any of the church folks who wanted to come. And that was quite a thing. You'll have to have your mothers playing the tapes for you. That'll give you guys something to do.
And tell us about the second one.
So the second one was all arranged for, but I was in the hospital. But they planned to go ahead and have it anyway. And maybe the people who came from distance could come to see me in the hospital. So it was shortly after they all got together at the Hope Church in Wilton for the food that they served downstairs, in a little program that they just had along with the food. And they showed me the picture that they took, the video.
That's right.
Movies, and all that was said and sung, and all that they did for that. But at the time, it kind of spoiled their what do I say? Spoiled all their idea of the reunion, because just at that time we announced that my leg was going to come off. And here they had all been given the news that I was doing okay and so forth, but it wasn't the correct news. And instead of that, they were told that I was going to have my leg removed. So that didn't work out so good. But I think they had a good time. Eating. It was something the Lord knew was going to happen anyway. So we were very content about it, and I was really happier after that was off and I had gotten rid of the pain. So I think Janet can tell you more about that reunion than I can, because all I know of it is what I've seen in the picture.
Well, show us what you hung on your wheelchair after you got out of the hospital, before you got your pretend leg.
Yeah, that's right. I had this was off of my VW. Can you see it? Okay. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you think of your favorite verse before we end it? Or do you have any words of wisdom or advice you want to give your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren?
Yeah, just keep your lives close to the Lord and serve Him. Well, you wanted me to talk about my mother and father?
I thought that would be an interesting thing.
Well, I lived in a God-fearing home, that's for sure. My mother and father were constantly at the church in every service, morning worship and Wednesday night prayer meeting and Sunday night service again. They just loved the Lord. And my mother's name was Harriet. I don't know whether, some of you folks know all this, but I'm talking mostly to the little ones now, some of the smaller kids. And my mother always sat in the back seat in the church. I don't know why she always picked that back seat, but she did. She sat in the back seat. And people who would come in who didn't know who my mother was, they would ask her if she was a widow. And she said, "Oh no, my husband is up in the choir." And he was. When I first was able to know what was going on, my father was the organist. And then when I got to be 14, I was the organist. But before that, my father and I used to sing duets quite a little. Now I haven't got much of a voice left, especially after having a cold. But my dad was always in the church early in the morning, and especially in the winter time when it got cold. He would be there early and make the fire. And then when it was time for church to start, he would ring the bell. And then he'd finally give that last ring, which was the toll, signifying that the music of the bells was over. And it was time to get up there to church. So then he would get up in the choir as soon as the choir went up. And let's see. Oh, my mother was an especially good cook and baker. She used to bake pies and cakes, you wouldn't believe. And she always made our own bread. We never had bought bread. It wasn't the habit, I guess, of everybody to go to the store and buy their loaf of bread, but she didn't believe in it. She made her own bread right from the start that I can remember. And my brother Harry was 4 years older than I. And one day he said, "Oh, Mom, can't we buy one loaf of store bread? Oh, I'd love to see what it tastes like." And so she suited his wish and bought one loaf of store bread so he could try it. But I can't understand why he wanted store-bought bread when my mother made such delicious bread. Anyway, he was generally given his way in things like that, little things that he wanted. My mother would be good and help him out. So anyway, I guess that's just shows you a little bit of what my parents are like. It's a hard job for anybody to explain it thoroughly in a few minutes that we have here. But
do you remember any special things that you did together? Little outings or...
oh, well, we used to go on picnics and especially when it was time for the Sunday school picnic. That was a big affair in those days. And then so much preparation went on ahead of time to get ready for the Sunday school picnic. And we had a good time, needless to say, because amongst all Christian people, it's always good to have a party or get together like a Sunday school picnic.
Was it your father that you used to go jacking for eels with?
Yeah, he used to go jacking for eels, and my husband too.
Can you explain to what that means?
Well, we'd go out in the dark of the night, have a bright flashlight to light the little area where we were going to spear for the eels. And then when we'd flash the lights, it would kind of, and hold the light on them, it would kind of make them a little bit sort of blind-like, I guess, the lights. And my father would, or my husband or father would take their spear and smack down on and get the hold of the eel around its neck. And then they would stick the knife, no, not a knife, but I can't think what you call it, but they would get the eel and put it in the bottom of the boat. And then I would help with it too, help skin the eels and cut them up, fry them. I fooled one of my neighbors once. She says, "Oh, I'd never eat one of those things." And my father-in-law had brought up a basket of clams, and he brought several eels, good big-sized ones. So I cut one up, and I fried it for our lunch. And then I sent a piece, and I had spread it out a little bit, split it down the middle, and laid it out flat so it looked like any ordinary piece of fish. And I sent a piece up to the lady upstairs in my house when I lived, up in Hartford. And she had a smacking good time with it. It is the most delicious food, and especially if they're steamed or smoked. Smoked especially is good. So I asked her how she cared for the dish I'd sent up. Oh, she said, that was delicious. I said, well, do you know what it was? She says, no, but she said it was awfully good. So I told her what it was. She said, oh! She says, and here I said I'd never eat one. I guess she was, after that, she would probably wait for the opportunity to do so. 'Cause I know I would. Because they're real good. And then your grandpa, most of you, my husband, he was, even though we had a few little spats, like any married people would, he was always my sweetheart. And I was always his sweetheart. Always, he was very calm and very anxious to do things for the children. He would teach, as soon as they were able, he would teach them to drive. Some of them got too impatient and wanted to learn to drive without his help. But I'm telling you, he was pretty clever at teaching people to drive. And, but on the whole, we very, very seldom had any words. We, as I said, we were always sweethearts. And of course, when he passed on, it was more than a shock. And I almost had wished that I could go to be with him. I guess every wife feels that way when her husband dies. Anyway, you can all rest assured that you all would have a wonderful grandfather if he had lived. And one of the Bible stories that I like, that is very dear to my heart, is the time when the people were bringing their youngsters, their babies, and their small children up to see the Lord and to have Him hold their babies and perhaps pronounce a prayer over them or just to bless them, until the disciples, the Lord's disciples, tried to chase these ladies and people who were bringing their young up to see the Lord. They got really anxious. They probably said, we shouldn't bother the Lord when He's resting or something like that. And then when the Lord heard that they were doing this, He got very angry. And he told his disciples never to tell any children to go away. He always was ready with open arms for the children. And He said, never, never chase them away from me, because of such is the kingdom of heaven or of God. So that's one of the stories that is told about the Lord and what the Lord does at different times when He's here on earth. And so I always liked that, because I always thought, well, if He loves the children so much, I know He'll care for my children. And He did. I don't know what else you want me to say.
Can you give us your testimony?
I just want to tell all you young folks not to fail to go up to Sunday school. I know many of you are doing so. But keep your mind on the lesson and learn all you can about the Lord Jesus Christ. Because He says Himself that He's there to bless and to help the young people. All as I said, the little kids. And so I've always been grateful for that. It's such a comfort to one's heart to know that there's somebody watching and caring for your family.
When we were growing up, you always used to play a song in the spring. Can you tell us how that got started and a little bit about it?
Well, I don't know. I just had the music. And I thought that would be a good piece to play for just before the service, or as I would need to play before the people were coming into church. And I thought, well, that's a pretty nice song to use. And well, I don't know how many years ago I started it. Yeah, I played the organ in our little church for almost 67 years. So I can't just remember when it started, but quite a while. So every time the Sunday before spring started, I would play that melody in F, and which the words that are made up for it is Welcome Sweet Springtime. So a lot of the people who came to church were always there a good deal ahead of time, so to be sure not to miss it when I play, because it brought memories back to so many, I guess. Welcome Sweet Springtime.
Did you play it back when your mother and father were alive?
Yeah, Yeah. As I say, I can't remember the year that I started it.
How many times do you think you've played it in your lifetime?
Oh, I don't know, really. As much as I'm getting so old, I can't remember way back. I didn't make notes of things when I was back there. Like I do now. I try to make notes to keep track of what happens to my days and nights. And keep a little diary.
Tell us a little bit about Christmas and things that you did for your grandchildren and your children at Christmas time.
Well, I used to do many different things for little extra little gifts that I would wrap up. One day I had a great big, well, it looked like a dishpan, but I think it was a little bigger than a dishpan. And I had all the gifts, little gifts, not their regular gift, but little things. And I had wrapped up in the dishpan with each one's name and then a string attached to it. And then I would cover up the whole thing with the brown paper bag, or that sort of a cover, not a bag, but I would open it up to make a big pie crust, so to speak. And then each kid would have their hands on the string with their name on. And when they would, I would have them all sing some of the songs about. Sing a song of sixpence, pocket full of rye, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. And when they finished, they could all pull it, and then they would have their gifts. Little, not what you call gifts, but little playthings. And then other times I would just make some kind of a little poem and say that their gift was in a certain place, and then they'd have to go hunt for it. It wasn't always I would say it was in back of the ironing board in the dining room closet or something like that. Or it was under a book or somewhere. So they'd have to go hunting till they found their gift was all wrapped up.
Must have taken you an awful long time to get those special things ready.
Yeah, but it would take me longer now. Don't you think?
Maybe. Did you wait till the last minute in case any of us stopped in?
No, I would always know at that time just how many were coming.
No, I mean in case we stopped in before Christmas and got Snoopy.
Oh, I think the kids didn't even think about it then. I think they probably weren't thinking about getting something before the tree. Because the tree, when we'd open the gifts around the tree, there would be so many of us there, it would take all afternoon. And I think...
Well, why did it take all afternoon if there were just presents from you?
Well, it was everybody's gifts. Everybody would bring their gifts to everybody else.
Well, tell a little bit about drawing names. Remember drawing names for big and small gifts?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about that.
It was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
finally we found it was so hard to get around to do anything else all day, just opening gifts, that we decided to cut it down a little bit. And so we would draw names for somebody. And so then that would cut down on the too many gift openings. And we'd have time for singing or something else.
I bet you were relieved when Christmas Day was over and we all went home.
No, I feel lost. The house getting empty. Except probably somebody who was going to be staying overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed having a crowd.
Tell us about your special Christmas tree last year.
Oh, yeah. How can you,
I'm gonna bring it to you.
how can I hold it?
Wait, you tell about it and then I'll bring it over to you.
Well, I have to tell you about Janet then. Because Janet's the one that rigged all these things for me. And so many things that Janet's done. I just can't tell you all of them. Someday I'm going to make a whole list of it. So anyway, she bought me a little, very miniature Christmas tree. Not a real one, I guess it's an imitation, but it looks like a real one. And then she went and sent word to all my great-grandchildren and their parents that each child was to make an ornament for the tree in a small frame, a small circle. Couldn't be over 2 inches square, I guess, or something like that. And then as the packages came in with all these great-grandchildren's pictures, I kept wondering, what's all this anyway? Because Janet hadn't told me about this. All she did was probably bring me a Christmas tree. But I didn't know what it was for, except to maybe put a few of my little ornaments on. Because I couldn't handle a big tree now. So anyway, all these lovely pictures came, my great-grandchildren's pictures. And I imagine she'll probably be doing the same thing this year. And we're going to show you the tree.
Got it?
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let me go look and see if we got it.
So this is the way it looks, but it's got pictures all the way around here. See? Isn't that lovely? Imagine all my great-grandchildren are on here.
Turn it some more.
I'm afraid of spilling it.
That's all right, we'll put them back on. You're almost back to where you started.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
Now, isn't that some Christmas tree? I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like this year. Thank you, Janet.
Put the skirt back on.
Well, certainly been great. And I think that Janet's going to have a. Is it time for that, or have we got more time?
Well, we got lots more time if you have lots more to say.
Oh, I don't. I can't. I've kind of forgotten just where I was at.
We were talking about Christmas. One of the things I asked you was where you got that reindeer with the Santa, that musical thing that we were never allowed to touch.
The poor thing has gotten all smashed mostly now, I guess. Uncle Richard bought that for me a number of years ago. And that's when he was a bachelor man, before he got married to his lovely wife, Lois. And let me think. I don't know whether I can remember one of my things that I memorized. I can't remember whether I'll remember it all or not. I suppose I can give it a try.
Okay.
Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? that the everlasting God, the Lord, the Creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youths of the world are faint sometimes and weary, and young men will utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That's in the 40th chapter of Isaiah, the 28th verse through the 31st. And that has been, I think that goes through my head every night when I go to bed. That's the first thing that comes to my mind before I get to say my prayers. But that's almost like a prayer. To me, it's like a miniature sermon. And even the Maker is named in 3 parts. Did you notice that? Question about haven't you heard or haven't you known? And then called the Creator of the ends of the earth. There's three things that designated the Creator. And that always sort of leaves a feeling in my mind that the Lord is 3 persons in one. And I think I mentioned it early in this interview that the children, and I know many of them do go to Sunday school religiously, but you must always listen to your Sunday school teacher and learn all you can about the Lord Jesus, who came to this earth to die in our steads, if we'll only believe. And the children, a lot of our little children can answer an awful lot of questions because I've heard them. Just impromptu, I've heard them when one of the teachers or one of the ladies in the church asks a question, they come right out with an answer. So I'm very pleased to hear that, and I hope you keep it up. And about the one I told you about the Lord deriding his disciples because they were chasing the children away from the Lord. If you want to look in the Bible, you start at the first book. You bigger ones who can look up these things. Start at the first book in the New Testament and find as many of those quotations, or not exactly quotations, they tell about the Lord scolding the disciples for saying that the children should scram, so to speak. So if you want to start from Matthew, and find it where it tells you about that, about the Lord's telling the disciples that, and go right through the books and see how many different quotations of that similar thing that the Lord said to the disciples. It's written in the Bible more than once, more than twice, more than, well, you try it. Maybe I can hear from some of you. Find out how many you've looked up. That's why I purposely didn't give any quotation about where it's found. I just told you like I had heard something and was just telling it from my own way of telling it. But you'll recognize it, each spot, when you've come across it. And you make a notation of it each time, somehow on that page, just in little tiny letters. Okay?
Graham, how many years did you teach Sunday school?
What?
How many years did you teach Sunday school?
I've forgotten. I had a number of classes.
What age did you start at? Do you remember that?
I had mostly 4-year-olds.
And how old were you when you started?
Well, I was quite a young woman then.
About the time you started playing the organ at 14?
No, I didn't take any class right at that time. I was a bit older.
How'd you get started playing the piano and then the organ?
Well, my dad would like to do some singing, and he was playing the organ. So we would get some other lady that could play in the congregation, and she would play something for my dad and me to sing. And it was fun singing with him because I had deep alto voice and he was a tenor, so it was perfect combination.
Did Uncle Harry sing?
Yeah, he sang in choirs and he also played. He was a beautiful violinist.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys play duets together?
I would play for him. I never called it a duet, but I suppose that's what it amounted to. But he could play the violin. He could play so well that the German teacher they had, he says, I can teach you no more. You know more than I do now. But then he gave it up to play the French horn in the school band. My mother was heartbroken.
Well, what age were you when you started taking lessons? Did they make you guys take lessons?
Sure, I had to take lessons.
Yeah, but did they make you do it? Or did you want to?
Well, I didn't ever like to practice too much. But I did. I practiced a little bit. Anyway.
Now, when you lived in Stamford, the house that you're in now and the house that was down the street by the gas station, how did they fit
Now,
together?
I lived down in the east side nearer to the Maple Avenue church that we attended for so many years and that I was married in. And some of my girls were married in.
The one with the pretty stained glass window.
Yeah. But that window was when we had to sell the property for the school to have more room. Then remember Uncle Carl? Well, Uncle Carl sold that window out of the old church and put it in our new church.
Well, when did you move up to Hope Street?
Hope Street.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Because you lived in two different houses on Hope Street, right?
Yeah. Oh. Well, after my mother died, after my father died, then the house belonged to me. And when my dad died, his business he was a tool maker. And Uncle Harry had been working for him there, and his partner. And what was I?
Your dad died.
Yeah, he died, and then shortly after he died, then his partner, Mr. Young, died. So the two boys, Mr. Young's son and my brother, owned that business. But I was the one that got the house.
And that's the house you're in now?
Uh-huh. Well, when I'm able to be.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think if there was anything
But
else.
what about the other house down on Hope Street?
Well, that's been turned into condominiums now.
How long did you live there? Only your married life?
Um, no, Priscilla was a little tiny girl. She was a year or two old when we moved into that house.
Okay. Well, I think we're almost out of tape, so if there's anything last you'd like to say, and then we'll put the other on.
I'd just like to say that Lord bless each one of you and keep you all straight in the narrow way of looking to Lord for your every move. I'm so glad that so many of my great-grandchildren and my grandchildren are still true to the faith. And their mates. I think that I can't think of anything else right now, but there may be lots of things that I should have said.
Well, then we'll make a part 2 for next year.
Oh boy, if I'm able to talk.
When you're ready, you tell me and we'll get a new tape out.
No, dear.
Okay, would you like to tell them what we're going to do?
No, I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess you wanna play my springtime song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we'll end the tape with that.
Grandma, that was playing. I put the camera on the fern. Can you just tell everyone what the fern is? What's special about the fern?
That fern has grown for way over 100 years. It belonged to my grandmother, and I don't know, maybe her mother before that, but I know it came from my grandmother's. It grew profusely in my mother's house when she lived, and she had a great big long fernery, and the fern was like three ferns like this one together all across the fernery. And I finally, when my mother passed away, I decided I'm going to try to keep that going. And I have. Sometimes it's been great big, sometimes it gets down small when the weather goes against it or something, but I managed to keep it going all these years. Well, I always remember it from my grandmother's, but then my mother had it from there for years before she died. So now Nancy's got it.
Okay, you want to say your last farewells here on the tape? We're almost out. We have a little left. You might as well fill it.
I thought you had a lot more on.
No, we only have a little teeny bit of tape left.
Oh. Well, I think you should have gotten in the picture so as to show who helped me in all this.
They can hear me. They can hear me. Okay, you want to say goodbye and then I'll turn it off.
Ah, goodbye and God bless you, everyone.
You want to throw a kiss?